Hey there, this is the One Boom, and today we're going to be talking about the AK-27 and the Battle Scar conversion kit that was released with this week's weekly challenges. I forgot to make a video on the suppressor that they added the week before this, so I will be making a video on that soon, but right now, this is more interesting. This is a complete and total conversion kit for the AK-27, and I have a lot of critical things to say about it. First things first, this is a weapon that already has, as its prestige attachment, a conversion kit. There are now 3 ways to run the AK-27. The version with the prestige attachment, which raises your rate of fire and gives you 0 horizontal recoil but really high vertical recoil. The standard default way, and now this Battle Scar way, which takes the weapon and converts it into sort of a Man of War, Odin-style weapon archetype with a 341 rounds per minute rate of fire, a 49 base damage anywhere in the body, with a very powerful 68 damage headshot, which can obviously be combined with a body shot for a 2-shot kill. This hurts every aspect of your recoil control, your sprint to fire speed, your aim down sight speed, your base and sprint and ADS movement speeds. But weirdly enough, this does actually benefit your kick reset speed and overall gun kick. So as you can tell, this is a total conversion kit. In fact, it's such a great conversion kit, it makes me kind of mad, because there's no reason that this couldn't have just been its own gun. This could have just been its own archetype-filling weapon. What does any of what I just listed have to do with the AK-27? Nothing. This doesn't bring out anything of the AK, this just turns the AK. This just turns what the AK is into a completely different firearm. And those of you that have watched me for a while know that I don't really like it when they do this. There's no point in making the AK-27 a completely different gun. You could have just put this gun with this model into the game as its own weapon. It's Call of Duty, we're used to having multiple different type of AK platform weapons. But now, in order to use this completely different weapon, I already have to take up 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 8 attachment slots on an AK. If this was its own gun, I'd have all of these unique stats, and then I'd have 5 attachments to play with to figure out how I want it to work. That's not the case, so my preferred build with this, when I show it later, does use Gunfighter because it's such a fussy, weird weapon, and it is absolutely not a meta choice. Playing with this in any sort of engagement where you have to push an objective, be in tight corridors, move through a choke point, move at all, fight somebody that's already shooting you with a higher DPS weapon, deal with any moving targets that are, aware of your position, it falls apart against the other meta offerings in the game, and that's not really Black Ops 7's fault. Like, in any shooter, the weapon firing at 340 RPM, getting, 3 to 2-shot kills, is just going to be way more niche than weapons firing at, much higher RPMs, which give players a lot more leeway for movement, positioning, and honestly, just, the ability to hit a moving target goes up when you have a faster rate of fire. So, this was never going to be a meta choice in, any shooter. And it really can use all the help it can get. And so, after a couple of games of trying to play with it like it's a normal assault rifle, I realized, 1, it needs Gunfighter. Absolutely essential pick for me. And then it is sort of it's a TDM weapon. It's a kill-confirmed weapon, maybe free-for-all if you control your engagements. Maybe 20v20 skirmish, but this is not a weapon for, serious matches where you have to actually be putting work in. If you're playing with a group of people and you're sort of bottom of the board anyway, middle of the board on your group of friends playing domination, maybe it doesn't matter. But if you have the matchmaking I do, where the game kind of expects you to be doing a bit well because it gives you really crappy teammates and you're trying to play hardpoint and you have to, actually secure the hardpoint so that you can actually win the match of hardpoint, no, you're not using the Battle Scar. You can't push an objective with this. You can't attack people with this. They have to come to you and you have to be prepared. Now here's a hot take. There should be no movement penalties on this at all. Because already, just at it firing 340 RPM, just as it being a very niche assault rifle that's really just not going to compete against higher rate of fire weapons, against better, more active players in any sort of active combat environment where you are playing for an objective or dealing with multiple opponents. The whole benefit to it being a conversion kit should be that I get to play with the AK-27's stats. So the AK-27 isn't the most mobile assault rifle in the game, but it would be kind of nice if I could have those movement stats while using this, clunky battle rifle conversion kit. That way it's a clunky battle rifle, but it's, you know, on the shell of an AR that has decent mobility, and that would have been really cool. But because it completely rearranges all of your movement speed, base sprint and ADS, sprint to fire and aim down sight, and your recoil control and everything, there's just not really a ton of reasons to, you know, use this in any sort of serious capacity. Again, this should have just been its own gun, and I wouldn't have minded the AK-27 model-wise essentially being in the game twice. Like, just give it different iron sights compared to the AK-27, and then bam, it's its own gun. This could have just been its own gun. We don't have this weapon in the game already. We don't have any 340 RPM ARs in the game. So again, this would have been pretty unique to have, but this is for TDM. Your tactics with this are TDM. This is for posting up in game modes where you don't really have to go do anything. Every other player with better weapons is going to be able to actually play objectives and utilize movement and actually make plays. You can't really make plays with this gun unless your enemies don't know you're there. So it's like, yeah, it's a great gun if you fight people that don't know you're there and aren't shooting back and, you know, aren't on an objective. Great. But they really just put a conversion kit for a weapon that could have been its own gun that's really only usable or justifiable to use at all in non-objective game modes where you're sort of encouraged to like hold down lines of sight and lane. So 20v20, if you're not playing the objectives, you can take advantage of all the room to breathe there, TDM because it's really slow and campy, free-for-all because you just kind of control a corner of the map, but hell, even kill confirmed, if you start moving towards tags and people catch you off guard and they have Maddoxes and riding 45Ks and whatever, like they're gonna be better than you. They're gonna be better than you. And again, I ask, why do I have to deal with a slower aim down sight speed with this? I already have to have so much precision. I cannot miss a single bullet in a rapid engagement. Why did you slow me down at all? What is the point of this being a conversion kit? I'm kind of concerned about their weekly challenges if we're going to start getting conversion kits for weapons that are completely just nothing to do with the weapon itself. It's such a total conversion kit, it could have just been its own gun, but now it's just a different gun that's already using up an attachment to get the conversion kit in the first place, and now you're limited in customization, and it's not very good in the meta. What's the fucking point? This gun already had a conversion kit that took advantage of the AK's handling traits, and now we have this that doesn't. So how do we play with it? Well, here are the attachments I like to use. This allows you to get some better aim walking movement speed, kick reset speed. You only need a 25 round mag because you shoot so slow. You might as well get bonus ADS and sprint to fire speeds by using that smaller magazine. I use the Lithe Riser to get better aim down sight speed. And then the two attachments I would highly recommend if you want any sort of consistency with this gun, because you can't use a barrel attachment on it, is overpressurized rounds. You really want overpressurized rounds to get that perfect bullet velocity. That way when you're fighting people at your effective range, you don't ever have to worry about leading shots. And then you also want that 5 milliwatt lockstep Strelic laser, because that's going to keep your transitional accuracy a lot tighter. Meaning as you're aiming down sight, your shots are already going to start landing in the middle of your screen like they should anyway. I started winning a ton more gunfights with this build because you don't get to have a aim walking movement stock because it takes over the gun entirely. Use the Strider hand stop because that will give you actual aim walking movement speed benefits, which this attachment for some reason hurts from the get-go. It's the only way to make this thing mobile and actually worth using as an assault rifle. You could do conversions that make the gun a bit more slow, maybe more of a methodical scoped DMR style build, but then you're just using a DMR that requires 2 shots to the head when you could use the Nova line with a headshot barrel and get 1 shot to the head, and it's not really gonna fit in there, but you could maybe make it work. But with this build, I actually had a good amount of success and it was a bit of a fun time. I hate to sound so terribly negative in this video because I did actually have a bit of fun using it. It just is so not good, and these things always annoy me because if this was its own gun, I would have probably been excited to like unlock camos for it and keep grinding it and like trying it out, but it's a conversion kit on a gun that I already have mastered that doesn't really fit the motif of that weapon at all. So I used it for a few matches, and now it's just going to be something that people will probably haunt me with when it comes to I need a weapon and doing those live streams where you guys donate to make me use classes. That will suck. But as funny as that is, Treyarch, this weapon would have been really fun as its own gun that was fully customizable. If I could put rapid fire on this, if I could do damage range extending barrels and make sniper builds out of it, that would have been really cool. but instead we have the lowest common denominator of COD weapon archetypes. And that's the ones you need a wasted attachment to get shitty versions of. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. We're going to talk about that suppressor they added. And I promise I have slightly more positive things to say about that. And sorry if my voice sounds kind of weird. I just kind of woke up in the middle of the night. I couldn't go back to sleep. And my nose is kind of stuffed up. And I'm just recording this because it's on my mind. Anyway, bye.